like that, though often it seems as though they are. I'm Anneka Rice. You may remember me careering around the world making things happen. We were renovating Romanian orphanages, we were building bridges, soup kitchens, you name it. I was the real action girl. I had young children, I had a glamorous and exciting lifestyle. It really must have seemed as though I had it all. But all that came at a price, and I gave up a very high-earning job because I wanted to spend more time with my family. But that job had given me what I wanted, and that's what I think most women want, which is freedom and choice. I just don't believe that women want the same things that men do. They're not driven by power, success, loads of money. What they want is emotional fulfillment. The media-driven concept about women having it all is actually a complete myth. For the woman who has a time-consuming job, she's running a busy household, she's got children, it's impossible to have it all. It's always at the expense of something else. And anyway, it's not about having it all, it's about having it how you want it. Women are firing on all cylinders. They're outperforming men in lots of different areas, but just because they can doesn't mean they necessarily want to. I think we should embrace the fact that women are different. Stop presuming that women want to be like men. We just don't.
And I'm very happy to say that we have Anneka Rice with us now. You know, there was an awful lot of fuss and fury about women and their place in Cabinet in particular. Caroline Flint wrote this now infamous letter, which apparently was even more harshly worded.
Had to be toned down,
still.
I understand.
Yes.
It was even ruder.
About the Prime Minister. Yes, the window dressing and the fact that it's a misogynistic world out there, and that's what holds women back. You'll get your say, I have no doubt in a moment. But
I think, let's face
Anneka.
it, you know, there has been a revolution and the genie is out of the bottle. We don't have to sort of go through all that history now, but the fact is that when women did enter the workplace, it's very much entering a men's world. And one writer put it that it was rather like an immigrant arriving in a foreign country and having to adjust to a completely alien culture and way of doing things. And of course now, if we were sitting down with a blank piece of paper and designing the ideal world where men worked and women worked together, separately, whatever, it would just be designed in such a different way. And I just think, you know, there's almost a second revolution that needs to be happening to make it to work for everyone, really, because I think women are just, the women I've spoken to, and I've spoken to an awful lot of, you know, over sort of 50 in the last couple of days, canvassing their opinions, and they just sort of don't want it all.
It's a really interesting point that you made in the film, that power doesn't drive women. And what drives you, Anne Widdecombe?
Oh, wanting to do things. And, you know, if I've got something that I want to do, then that is what I go for. But let me say this, you know, I think Caroline Flint, I'm sorry, is complete nincompoop to say what she said.
Don't hold back now.
At least nobody's ever called me window dressing.
But I can't think why, Anne, and I think you should be immediately summoned up like that.
If a woman enters a man's world and decides to compete with the men, which is what women do who enter politics, then you've got to compete on exactly the same level. It's no good saying, I'm as good as you, but I want special individual treatment. And if you don't give it to me, it's all because I'm a woman. I vividly remember a couple of months after the Blair Babes all came in, one of them stopped me in the corridor and said to me, Anne, isn't it horrible how the men are so rude to us? And I said, yeah. And isn't it horrible how they're so rude to each other? And she hadn't thought of that. She'd taken it personally.
So is it just, I mean, do you agree, Phil Wallace, when this comes out, it is just an unrealistic expectation from certain members of the female fraternity that there is even a possibility of having what the men
My
have?
experience of life, of politics and government is that if you want a job doing, give it to a busy woman, because they're better than
I
the
have
men.
to say, busy women are just brilliant. I mean, I'm thriving. I'm just phenomenal when I'm busy and completely can barely get out of bed if I haven't got an agenda for the day. You know, I think for women, if they've got a vocation...
That's true for men.
It's true for men as well. No, but I'm talking about women...
We're not as well organised.
But
the organisationalised skills.
The thing that the men don't have, I mean, you would accept this, Anne Widdecombe, you know, that there is the family, having the children, the family, the bearing of children, and you can't disagree with that. They carry the children, they give birth to the children for the first few years, they nurture the children. Now, is there not an argument to be had then, if you're going to strive for equality and that equal pitch that you've been talking about, the men should maybe do more, or be allowed to do more, have the space to do more?
It's not a level playing field at home to start with. So, you know, when two people go off for work out of the same front door, possibly, you know, if we're talking about a mother really in the workplace, rather than someone who hasn't got children, there'll have been a sort of 5 hours work that's probably been done before they even leave the front door.
Because I actually think, and this I do feel very strongly, families actually come first. And I think women do have to make a choice. And that's tough, but they have to make a choice. The choice being made, I then don't think they should expect special favours.
That doesn't mean that you can't take your hat off to women who do that.
Yeah, and also just another thing to throw into the mix. Phil Wallace, just another thing to bring in here. I mean, the role of women at the moment. I mean, in as far as exams are concerned, it's predicted they're going to have the top jobs.
Listen,
medicine, in law.
It's actually true in this country that women under 30 now earn more than men under 30, and the pay gap actually only comes in the 30s because of childbirth. Women are getting it together, and quite rightly, and I support that. I think
we're not
it's
losing
terrific.
sight of what actually matters.
But
and it does worry me that in this great drive to say to women, you've got to have it all, you've got to have a career, it's not worthwhile just staying at home. I actually think we're undermining some things that are very important.
I want to give the final word.
Well, I just think I totally take on board what you're saying, Anne, because I must say, before I had children, I was completely the same as you. I used to think, well, God, if you're going to take on that job, you don't complain, and I never complained when I was doing anything. And I had a very sort of roughy-tufty job of working, extraordinary hours and very long hours and completely ragged with exhaustion, but I never once complained because I thought that's my lot, I've chosen it. Once you have children, of course you're thinking differently, and I think the way forward, the second revolution, is how to actually make it a very balanced, harmonised workplace for everyone.
Talk about the second revolution the next time we have you on. Thank you very much.